So I'm going to be talking about Wistoria Wand Sword and primarily focusing on Will as a main character. I think there's a lot of things that work well for the character and the world building of this story. And honestly, it's just another one of those anime main characters that either unintentionally or intentionally mirror like the experiences of someone on the spectrum so well that it would be kind of ridiculous to me for it to be anything other than intentional. So we'll just go bit by bit, not structured at all. This is literally off the cuff, off the riff, no script, and we'll go and talk about what makes him such a compelling main character for me. So one of the first things we know is his goal is unachievable. He is a character who wants to become like a cream of the crop mage so then, he can progress with his life. But to do that, he would need to get like enough credits and knowledge and things of that nature. But he can't cast magic. Off the start of the story, he's not like everyone else. It seems that the expectation of everyone is the ability to execute magical spells, but he can't do that. He is proficient in many ways, but not that way. And oftentimes these limitations allow someone to flourish in a different area that no one thought was possible. And for autistics, that's typically their special interest. And I think Will's investment into Mage Society and like the tomes and the dungeons and everything like that cannot be explained away by anything other than a special interest. Because every waking moment, he's either in a dungeon trying to get stronger, or he's reading books to try to further his knowledge to make up the difference for the setback that is innate to him and a pure hindrance that other people don't have to overcome to achieve what they want. And this limitation allows him to flourish in a way that's no one else can expect or expects from someone like him. Everyone like ridicules and criticizes him for being different, but despite not being able to cast spells, he actually has such a high physical endurance and speed that he's able to do very impressive things that other mages simply cannot execute. And through his actions of just being true to himself and demonstrating how he can be worthwhile to society through his different take and his execution of his knowledge, slowly changes the people around him to being more accepting and understanding. And I think everyone who is autistic has that opportunity if you so choose. If you want to be like an advocate and at least touch the people around you to better understand the disability and try to get rid of some of the negative stigma, you can change a lot. Think about how easy it could be for someone else who is like magic inept after Will if they put similar effort into reading books and using him as a resource on taking that next step. It would be instrumental to the process. And I think Will really exemplifies a lot of courage. So many people would find a reason to give up. And despite every hardship that he encounters, he literally has professors working against him to try and make sure he cannot pass. He's being held back by the people who are supposed to support you in school, which happens all the time for people who are neurodivergent, where they can be very brilliant and very gifted in very specific areas, but the structure that is set in place is completely against everything they need to do. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is the way these characters in his later group, when he's like descending the dungeon, all of them are like, we don't even want you here, but one person does, and that was just based on, one of the things he did, one of the connections he had. And throughout this dungeon, he slowly connects to each person through like a story or a character trait that reminds them of themselves and helps them realize that even though he's different because he can't cast spells, they're really not that different at the end of the day. They're still just people trying to make the best of what they have, and they all have different goals. And one of the things that I find really profound is the way he connects to that elf character, where that character has a prejudice against humans and against non-magic folk and puts himself on a pedestal. But through listening to Will's backstory, both of them are trying to achieve this mage title to move up to the next step and reconnect to childhood friends they lost. And it turns out this elf character is also kind of boning it. He's actually weaker than the rest of his race, and he experienced the same type of criticism and critique and ridicule that Will did. So he went to the human society where he would be revered and thought of as powerful. And seeing all the ways that Will fights adversity despite every setback opens his heart to him, and they become decent friends, I would say, decent friends. And one of the things that's really interesting is I would say Will's kind of like in the autism closet, if you will. Like, you can be autistic but not know you're autistic yet, and the perception that changes once you're formally diagnosed or you learn more about it, and not like the stigmatisms and criticisms of the world. You start accepting yourself and warming to the world in a lot of different ways. And near the end of the story of this first season that's currently out, we've realized that there's a whole different sub-society called the Swords. So this entire time, there's been a society meant for him that was hidden to him, and he's been fighting a battle that he shouldn't have had to face, because the support system for people using swords and not magic was there the entire time, but no one told him about it. No one connected him to it, and no one came to find him. And I'm really interested to see how these parallels to autism continue in the story when season 2 comes out, to see if it's like a reconnection of his true self, without all these extra layers and angles that he's unfamiliar with, that he had to study to gain familiarity with. So that's all I got for the things I remember from watching Wand and Wistoria, and I wanted to share. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I wanted to make it for a while. I just honestly never got around to it. So I don't really remember most of the characters' names. And for the sake of making videos quicker and easier, I'm just going to stick to like pure gameplay in the background, just to knock it out quickly. So tell me what you think. I hope you like it. That's all.